Good evening. I would like to call this Ordinance Committee meeting to order tonight at 7:01 p.m. on September 11th, 2024. With us in council chambers, we have present Councilor Linda Vacan, Councilor Jenny Rivera, and Councilor David Bartley. Online, we have Councilor Patty Devine and Councilor Kevin Jordan.
He said we should keep our distance because he's sick.
And I thought Meg was on here, but I don't see her. She is expected to join us a little later online. For the purposes of the meeting, I want to entertain a motion to take a roll call vote that for the purposes of this meeting would be applicable to all motions to remove an item from the table, place items on the table, package items, or suspend the rules unless there is an objection.
So moved. In case Meg comes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Okay. Entertain a motion to take up item 1, minutes for August 14th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion to take up item 2.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 2 is filed by myself, Councilor Israel Rivera. Order that the City Council review noise ordinance and require a decibel meter reading before a ticket can be submitted for music to be asked to be turned down. It is my understanding that the department has the necessary devices to measure readings, and we want to be sure that they are being utilized in case citations are case citations are challenged in court. This topic's come up a couple different times. Here we have, fortunately, the interim chief, Mr. Cruz, to kind of elaborate and speak on this a little more. And I think just to give you some background on the reasons for me filing it was, again, sometimes the police show up and they issue a ticket. And I think for me, the concern is if it's a business owner or a property owner, and if they were to decide to challenge it in court, right? If there's no actual meter stating what was the range or how much was the music, it's liable for them to actually not have to pay the ticket, right? Like a speeding ticket. So for me, it's like if you have the meter with you present, use it and then pretty much like write down what the meter says, right? If you don't have it, you can still tell them to turn it down, right? It's not that you can't. If you hear it and it's loud enough that it's a nuisance, you can still come in and tell them to turn it down as a police officer. I just think that when issuing the ticket, we should take more, not caution per se, because I don't want to stop anybody from writing a ticket, but at least have a more strategic approach when issuing the ticket, Interim Chief Cruz.
I don't have a problem with that. For the record, we did have them many years ago under Chief Nicewinger. He bought them. The problem with that was they're battery operated. Batteries die. They disappeared. We don't have any currently. I found one today in my closet, brand new. And just so you know, a couple things. You have to calibrate these things. I looked it up. We're going to need calibration tools for this. I don't know if you're aware when we do the drug arrest of 1,000 feet of a school and we had to do calibrations of the wheel.
Right.
I'm assuming the same thing's going to happen with this if it's challenging court. You know, did you calibrate it? That's going to cost me money. I'm going to need tools for that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to need to outfit several officers with these new meters. I tried this meter today just to have an example. I was in my office and I noticed just with the TV on that the meter was very sensitive. 70 decibels is basically a high TV. I came home, I put the radio on. 70 decibels is basically a radio on medium. As I'm talking right now, I have an example of one right here. And I'm trying to get it to be in the camera.
I see it. I kind of see it. I get it.
But this thing here, just talking right now, I'm at 77 to 82, depending how loud I speak.
And what's ordinance again?
The ordinance is 70 decibels.
Oh my God. Okay.
So just wanted to let you know that that's going to be, these are very sensitive, so that's going to be an issue. You're giving us another tool against I don't want to say against the public, but I just don't want this to be used against my guys as another tool of harassing the public when we're not trying to do that.
No, of course. That is not the intention either. And I appreciate the fact that you went and you looked for them, right? Because we've been asking for quite some time. And now you've reported back to us that you actually only have one. So there's no way for us to hold you accountable to something that you don't have as a tool. So, I mean, in the future, I guess this is a tool that we should look into investing into. This could have been deaded a long time ago if someone would have said this a long time ago, right? That you only have one and it's way more difficult to actually calibrate it. This is something that you'd have to invest in the future. But I think Councilor Vacan has a question. Thank you again.
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment because the current ordinance says 50 decibels or, depending on the time of day, 70 decibels if it's during the regular noise allowed times a day, or if it's discernible from a distance of 100 feet. So that would generally be like, as an example, somebody's having a loud thing at their house. If you can hear it 2 houses down, if you're not downtown, then that's probably 100 feet. If you're downtown, it could be maybe 2 blocks, right? Roughly. But right now, the ordinance gives discretion to the police officer to use the standard within the definition that says if the sound is discernible at a distance of 100 feet. So if somebody calls complaining, then this allows the officer to use judgment. Now, it's not to say they can't fight the ticket.
Right.
But in all the times I've been on the council, I never heard of a decibel ticket that anybody ever gave after the department had the
I've heard a lot.
machines.
I've heard a lot about the tickets around the meters. I'm not around the meters per se, but around the sound being too loud.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I think maybe doing a little research around it, because if I know that one is not calibrated, but if it were to be calibrated and it's just talking in your house is 70 decibels, that's a little too low. That means that your neighbor can hear you talking next door in their house, and that's enough for them to call the cops.
Well, no, because the standard would be if the sound is discernible in 100 feet. And I mean, if talking in my house, my neighbor can't hear me like that or like this.
That or the 70 decibels, right? It's because you have both. So I think
you don't know.
It would be for us to have the conversation on how best to equip the officers with the things they need to be able to measure that the way it's supposed to be measured, and at the same time, it's to have the like you're saying, where there's a form of discretion, right? Where they go up to the scene or wherever it's happening, and they kind of have the conversation with the tenant where it's like, hey, it's not that loud, I'm not going to give you a ticket. But when they start issuing tickets, I think that's the part where we might need to protect on our end the fact that, because there's some people that might feel like they're being targeted because they got multiple tickets, right? Or if I'm not saying that that's the case, but if that were the case, how are we backing ourselves up like with raw evidence of the things that we're doing? You know what I'm saying?
Well, so I guess, yes, there have been noise complaints, but the point I was making earlier is I haven't ever seen a list that said they took the decibel machine out and made the ticket based on that. That was the point I was making.
No, I get that.
Yeah. So I don't think our police department is over ticketing people.
No, they're not.
If anything, it's the other way.
No, they're not.
So I'd hate to do anything that would discourage our police officers from trying to enforce our ordinances. I mean, that's where I'm coming from. But I hear you on, if you do cite a ticket, you want to have, if it's available, have a measurable backup.
Yeah, I'm not coming from the discouragement piece. I'm coming from the piece where it's like, if you want something to be a law where people are practicing it and make it consistent, then we should have something that backs it up with consistency as well. And that's the only piece for me. For me, I can say this order is complied with right now for the time being, and then I can follow up with the interim chief and then talk about other strategies around maybe talking with the mayor as he walks in.
And getting the devices.
And getting where the
perhaps.
funding would be to get the devices, and then training people and calibrating them, so that way they have all the tools needed to. And again, I'm with you on this, Chief. I don't want it to be another tool where we're policing people and just finding a reason to come after them. But I'm looking at more of a perspective where it's like, if we're going over to someone and we're giving them tickets on a multiple basis, we actually have proof that their music has been louder than whatever is the city ordinance. And it's been tracked for multiple times. But unless you have anything else to add, I'm all set, Chief.
No, I just want to let you know from experience, normally the misconception is that we need to have somebody complain. That's not necessarily true. I just want to get that out there. For example, if I'm driving by in a cruiser and I hear loud music that's, out of the ordinary, I have the right as a police officer, I got to do my job. I can either look the other way, or I can stop and say, hey, can you please put the music down? Although we didn't get any calls, but it is my responsibility as I drive by before we get calls to be proactive. So I just want to get that out there. The misconception is that people need to call and complain first before we are able to enforce. Secondly, what I encourage my officers to do is, give them the chance the first time, the verbal warning, and explain to them, educate them, that if we come back the second time, we have a ticket for so much money, I don't want to do that, but we'd have to give you a ticket. And the third time, last resort, is breach of the peace. So we have those options. I say 9 times out of 10, 99% of the time, people are nice enough to say, all right, we're going to put the music down. We never have a problem. In my career, I only had one time where I had a breach of the peace, and this just kept going on and on and on and on. So I just want to let you know that we don't encourage our officers to go out and just headhunt. We encourage them to educate.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anything else from any other council members? Motion. I entertain a motion.
Do you want me to make the motion? I'll make a motion that the order's complied with, given the maker is good with that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Do we have to do roll call? It sounded like Meg.
Yes, there is a roll call. So, Councilor McGrath Smith? Welcome.
Yes.
Councilor Jenny Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Linda Vacan?
Yes.
And Councilor Bartley?
Yes.
Councilor Rivera, yes. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Motion to take up item 3.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 3 was filed by Councilor Jordan. Order that the City of Holyoke develop a personnel policy for the handling of administrative leave and codifying the rules into ordinance as recommended by the Personnel Department, included but not limited to when employees should or should not be placed on paid leave or unpaid leave. The current process appears lacking objective standards. Taxpayers should be also protected to ensure people who should not be out on paid administrative leave are placed on unpaid administrative leave. This has been on the table for a while now. I would like to move it forward. I'm kind of glad that Councilor Kevin Jordan is actually here this time, so that way we can speak on it. If you'd like, Councilor Jordan, you have the floor.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Councilor Rivera. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. It's a little muffled, but I hear you. It should be good.
How about now? Is that a little better?
It's a little better.
Okay. So the reason I filed this order, and I know it took some time for us to get a legal opinion and to do a review of the contracts, was because it appeared to me on my review of the state law that we're not currently following state law here in Holyoke relative to paid and unpaid leave. So, and specifically, I'm referring to Chapter 268A, Section 25 of the state law. That law says that for misconduct in office, employees may, this is the discretionary part, may be suspended. But if they are suspended, it shall be unpaid leave. There is no discretion to make it paid leave or unpaid leave. and that's the problem. We, upon a review over the last year, have gotten some good legal advice from the law department, which is appreciated. There's a legal opinion from Attorney Manteleschi that I think is very well done. I think there's also was a review by Kelly Curran relative to what a number of the collective bargaining agreements say. And she also happened to interview a number of our larger department heads, specifically the police and the fire. And here's what that review indicated. It reviewed that in speaking to the police and fire chief, that essentially their informal policy is that it's based on the chief's discretion. Some people are getting paid, some people are getting unpaid based on the severity of the matter. So for example, if they're on according to the police chief, if you're charged with a felony, then you're out on unpaid leave. If you're charged with a misdemeanor, you're on paid leave. If you have an administrative suspension, you're on light duty, desk duty, or some form of paid leave. The fire chief said very similar, that it was up to his discretion. He looked at each one as situational, and he did it, the paid and unpaid, according to what they determined was reasonable. A review of the agreements indicates really a lot of silence on this issue. Therefore, when I hearken back to the legal opinion, that tells us that in the event of a conflict between the collective bargaining agreement and the state law, that the state law will trump. And in this case, unless it was mentioned under another specific state statute, that's the only exception that there would be where it would not prevail, the state law. But the law department reviewed that, and this was not the case in Holyoke's situation. Therefore, the state law prevails. So what I'm suggesting to my fellow counselors is what is currently going on in Holyoke is inconsistent with what the state law requires us to have in effect. 268A, section 25 says, for these suspensions that are for, let me read it here, any officer or employee of a county, city, and it goes on to list a number like towns and districts, may, during any period, such officer or employee is under indictment for misconduct in such office or employment, or for misconduct in any elected or appointed public office, trust, or employment at any time held by him, be suspended by the appointing authority, whether or not such appointment was subject to approval in any manner. So the discretionary part is where there has been a determination of misconduct or indictment for misconduct in office, that's the discretionary part. The appointing authority, the mayor, generally speaking, has the authority to make the determination to put someone on leave or not leave. But, and in the case of it being a suspension for paid leave or unpaid leave, the statute is crystal clear. It says any person so suspended shall not receive any compensation or salary during the period of suspension. And it goes on from there talking about you don't get credit for certain leave benefits and retirement benefits and all of that. But so when the determination is made for one of these suspensions, it has to be unpaid. So what I would like the Ordinance Committee to do is, I would like to make sure we have an ordinance that is providing a uniform rule for these situations that come up where there's misconduct in office or an indictment, okay, or someone is charged with a crime. It has to be that the person is placed on unpaid leave. So that's the situation. That's what I'm suggesting to the committee. And I was asking if we could please refer this to the law department to draft up a legal form that's consistent with the state law and their prior legal opinion. Thank you.
1 second. So real quick, Councilor Jordan, just to be clear, your request is that we get a legal form of this potential ordinance from law department, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. Because right now we don't have clear enough language, and what's occurring now is we have some departments doing one thing, other departments doing another thing. We're finding out that they even have people who are charged with misdemeanors. You have the former police chief, and a statement here says that if they're charged with a misdemeanor, I give them a paid leave. I don't think that's consistent with what the state statute is saying. So it doesn't appear, once the decision is made for a suspension, it appears they have to be unpaid. So yes, I'm looking for an ordinance that lays this all out so that Holyoke, well, our rule in Holyoke is that we follow the state law.
Thank you. Councilor Bacon?
So I was going to offer a motion that we send this to legal for legal language and legal form to create an ordinance that ensures that we comply with the state law 268A, section 25.
And I'll second that.
Okay, real quick. How different is that than what Kevin said?
So all I'm doing is giving the law reference.
Yep, you're just using the statute.
And instead of saying all the words.
Yep. Okay, just making sure and making it clear for the people. And you seconded it.
Councilor Jordan, I got that right?
Yeah, no, what you propose is fine. Yep, that's fine.
And then under discussion, right? Currently, okay. And then we have Kelly Current online, who is our department head from HR. In case you want to add anything, I just want to give you the floor so you can
She was there.
you can kind of expand on what you guys, because I know you guys have been doing different things to try to mitigate this. So just if you can add anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It's actually been a year since we've been discussing. Can you hear me
Kelly,
okay?
man, I can hear you, but you got feedback. It's like 5 people.
Is it any better? I don't know.
I'll try to listen to the third voice.
Want me to log back in?
Oh wow, it's hard. I'm sorry.
Kind of cool, though.
It's like Halloween.
No, I'm trying to.
Early.
If you want to sign out and sign back in, see if it changes anything, feel free. The amazing thing of Zoom, huh? We don't have anybody from legal with us today, huh?
I guess not.
That's interesting.
If you remember, Mr. Chair, but I was going to say, if it's going to go to legal anyhow,
Want to just
it's gotta
vote
come
on it?
back- it's going to come back for a draft, so we're not taking a vote.
No, we're not taking it. We're just getting
No,
a
we're
vote.
just shipping over to them. So.
I'm back. Is it better?
Oh, you good now? Yeah. All right.
Okay. So yeah, it's been a year since I think we talked about this. From what I remember, Councilor Jordan, I thought that they only can go unpaid if they were indicted, citing the law.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Do you want me to answer that, or?
yeah I think she's asking you that question through me to you.
Yeah, sure. It appears that it says in the statute, it reads, is under indictment for misconduct in such office or employment, or for misconduct in any elected or appointed office. So yes, this is talking about largely people who are under indictment, correct, charged with crimes, that's right.
Yeah, so I'm afraid if there was a misdemeanor, we would, depending on which, like, is it fire, is it police, is it, Schedule A or DPW, we might have, either civil service, appeal or case, or, unfair labor practice.
I don't think the statute distinguishes between felonies and misdemeanors, but I'm sure the law department, when they draft it, will consider that. All I'm looking to do is just mirror the same thing that the statute says. The thing I'm concerned about is I'm hearing different things. So, theoretically, somebody could be indicted for misdemeanors too, my understanding. So that you don't just get indictments for felonies. So I believe that's accurate. And, but I think it's if you're charged with crimes, then it's saying that, the appointing authority has to make a decision whether or not you should be on suspension. And then at that point, once you are, it's unpaid. What I'm suggesting is, I don't believe you can be charged with crimes and then put on paid leave. Okay, which is what it appears that we have a misunderstanding about that you could be charged with crimes and put on paid leave. And I'm hearing statements being made like, well, innocent until proven guilty and all of that, which is all true. We all believe that, we all know that to be true. But what I'm concerned about is the fact that once the decision is made to suspend someone who's been charged with crimes, the statute appears to be crystal clear that it has to be unpaid. So I don't think you can suspend someone, make that decision, and then say, well, I'm suspending you and then I'm putting you on a paid suspension. I don't think that's an option. And so I want to make sure we get that clarified here in the law.
Thank you. I think the one piece I would add, I'm not sure, an indictment is different criminally, right? I don't know how it is in other forms of law, but when you get indicted to a larger court, like that's an indictment, just in general to the next level. But I think the question for me that I would have is, right, let's say, and this sounds like it's more complex than just putting an ordinance, but I'm with it. I'll go through the process just to see what legal says and put all the stuff. And I say this because let's say someone is indicted and then we don't pay them for however amount of time, but then they end up getting found innocent. Do we owe them the check from all that time?
Yes.
And we can
Yes.
possibly be sued too as well, right?
No, I don't think you can be sued. Like, definitely could, and they deserve it. I think I don't have any problem whatsoever if these folks are on unpaid leave and they're found not guilty or the charges are dropped or whatever the case may be. And this is all, by the way, it's all discussed in the statute, Mr. Chairman. It says if the criminal proceedings against the person suspended or terminated without a finding or verdict of guilty on any of the charges on which the person was indicted, his suspension will be removed and he shall receive all compensation or salary due the person for the period of time under suspension, and including credit for any leave time and all these other things. So yes, I mean, what I think the concern is, not so much that situation. The because a person has this due process, is the opposite, where they've been collecting for who knows how long, and then they are found guilty. Now the city's out the money. And in this way, you can always give it back to them. But the other way, we would be good luck trying to collect the money from the person.
Yeah. Thank you. Councilor Bartley and then Councilor Devine.
Oh, let Councilor
All
Devine go
right.
first.
Councilor Devine?
Hi, thank you. I don't have a problem sending this to legal department. I just want to make sure that any reference to collective bargaining agreements is put in that opinion. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more with that statement, because that's paramount. I just want to make two small points. An indictment, Mr. Chair, is just a charge.
It's a charge, okay.
That's all it is. But it's a scary word, and in the public's eye, it looks really bad. The most famous one got indicted was that guy down there in D.C., Ray Donovan, and then he's the one said, how do I get, after he's exonerated, how do I get my reputation back? Because he was destroyed for like 3 years. So where do I go for my reputation? So that sucks. The other thing is, we have the ability here, because I'm fearful of that too, and so we have the ability here, as you know, to make our laws not weaker, we can make our laws even stronger. So as you heard the maker of the order say, well, the person on suspension loses their compensation. Well, if they're found without a finding or not guilty, or the charges are dropped, the person gets his money back. Well, I guess that's okay, but the city, and what took this extra step, why doesn't the city pay interest on top of that as well? So we have that ability, if we wanted to as a body, to make a motion to do that, to have some kind of you're going through heck as it is, and now you're losing your salary, and at the end of the whole ordeal, you find out the DA or the AG just didn't have any way to substantiate it. And that's pretty tough. So I guess you get your money, but man, there should be an additional type of thing. So we have to, I think, that would make us on our end be very, very extra cautious, one would hope, if we're gonna go that route.
Okay. Thank you. And then Kelly, you have a question? I see your hand raised.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add about the collective bargaining agreements, because they all have different language, and I shared them with the council last year. So it would take, I believe, some negotiating with the unions. I know DPW specifically has language in it that if a person doesn't commit a crime at work, that, they can't be unpaid.
Must be
Mr.
nice.
Chairman?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Go ahead, Councilor Jordan.
Yeah. With all due respect to Kelly, who I have a lot of respect for, the law department, in their legal opinion, already reviewed that, and they said it doesn't matter what the collective bargaining agreements say, because if there's a conflict between the collective bargaining agreement and the state law governs, period.
Yeah.
So if there's a material conflict between the CBA and the law prevails. So it doesn't matter what the DPW agreement says, quite frankly, or any of these other agreements. They cannot, in the CBA, conflict with the state law. Just like any other contract, quite frankly, in Massachusetts, you can't have a contract that contracts to do something that's illegal. So they can say whatever they want. It really doesn't matter. The state law in this situation is going to trump. So I would refer the personnel office back to that legal opinion from Jane Manaleski on this topic. And I think she did a fine job.
Thank you. So on the motion, if there's nothing else. So then, roll call vote. Councilor McGrath-Smith, and we're voting to send it to legal for language.
Yes.
Councilor Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Linda Vagan,
Yes.
and then Councilor Bartley,
Yes.
and Councilor Rivera, yes.
Motion to take up item 4?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4 is filed by Councilor Vacan, and that's it. That an ordinance be created that establishes a public process for approving the installation of raised crosswalks that includes input from safety departments and the public and determination from engineering. Counselor Bacon, I think the only issue we have now today is that we don't have legal language.
Correct. So I'll make a motion to table while we're waiting for the legal language.
Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. It moves on.
Motion to take up item 5.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 5 was followed by Counselor Bacon as well. The whole double the tax abatement for veterans. Can we just take up all the ones that have legal language as a package?
Sure.
Because this one, I think, needs legal language too as well. So there's the next one. And
Yeah.
7 too as well. And I believe 9.
So a motion to take up items 5, 6, I don't know if we needed some changes from legal on 8,
No, I think
on
7.
language.
I think 7 was one. And I think 9 was another.
So motion to take up 5, 6, 7, and 9 as a package.
All in favor?
Aye. And then you have
Yeah.
to read them.
So item 5 was filed by Councilor Bacon, that the whole double the tax abatement for veterans as authorized by the HERO Act. The other one, item 6 is filed by Bacon, Jordan Puello, order that legal opinion be issued to clarify allowed uses of marijuana impact fee money. For example, if odor from a facility is a problem in the community, can the money be used for mitigation? Item 7, the city determined, was filed by Bartley and Carmen Ocasio, Councilor Ocasio. The city determined a more efficient manner to remove handicap disability signs. Perhaps a database should be maintained by the city clerk. Oh, this one is actually, it still should be tabled though. A database should be maintained by the clerk. City addresses with the handicap disability signs in front of parcels address should be maintained and made public. Further, for example, on an annual basis, each addressee which such a sign should be notified and must affirm whether or not the sign should remain. And then 9 is order that the City Council amend Ordinance 269 by striking Section G2 from the ordinance. The section states no employee of the city shall simultaneously serve on the City Council during their time of employment. All of those were referred last meeting, August 14th, for legal language, except for, I believe, 7. 7 was actually referred to the city clerk to see if they could take on the capacity. Councilor Bartley, if you're correct.
Okay, so I'll amend my motion to
Okay.
remove
7.
7 from the package, and then I'll make a motion to table items 5, 6, 9, and 10, waiting for legal form.
Yes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Councilor McGrath Smith,
Yes.
Councilor Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Bacon,
Yes.
Councilor Bartley,
Yes, sir.
and Councilor Rivera, yes.
Okay, then motion to take up item 7.
And item 7, as I read before, is the city determined a more efficient manner to remove handicap disability signs. Perhaps a database should be maintained by the clerk. City addresses with handicap disability signs in front of the parcel's address should be maintained and made public. I know.
So then the motion on that is to table for feedback from our city clerk?
So, just be clear from Councilor Bartley. I want to make sure because him and Carmen were the ones that filed it, and I understand what they're trying to get done. It's just I want to make sure that what we're pushing to the clerk is clear to the clerk. So if they want to
Let's
take
see what we have in our minutes.
Well, put it this way, I'll follow up with Brenna through an email.
Yep.
And I'll have her, and I'll do it forthwith. And let me just, it's agenda item 7.
Yep.
So she's usually very good about getting back, and I'll just have her review this closely and send,
Just to see where it's
send
at.
you some feedback,
That-
send
yep.
all of us some feedback
Yep.
on this. Because she did express to me that, she understood it and would review it. She didn't say yes or no, of
Right,
course.
right,
but, so I think she's gonna just take a look and see if it makes sense.
All right. So you'll have the conversation with her and have her give me a communication as to what's up.
Yes.
Perfect. So then we can table that one for now too as well, if that's cool with
So
you.
moved?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Councilor McGrath-Smith?
Yes.
Councilor Rivera?
Yes.
Councilor Bacon?
Yes.
Councilor Bartley?
Yes, sir.
And Councilor Rivera, yes. And
Motion to take up item 8.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Item 8 is filed by Councilor Jordan. Order that the city council review and adopt the mayor's proposal for the city financial policies by ordinance. Councilor Jordan, if you would like to add more to this, I mean, it's been, we talked about it once and it got tabled last meeting. So maybe you'd like to expand a little more on this.
Yeah, just briefly, Mr. Chairman, in collaboration with the mayor, he put a lot of work into this. I was very supportive of his proposal overall, and I did make one amendment, which is, if you recall back, we had that point about the $500 loss or damage of city property, that those would be reported to the mayor and city council. The mayor asked that that be part of this financial policy, so I did include that in there in the package, and want to thank the DOR, who did a lot of work to help put this together, and also thank the mayor for his hard work in putting this together, and the other people on the management team. And you know, it's generally something that I think is you know, certainly open to any of the discussion that anyone might have, but generally it's a good idea that we adopt this at some point.
Thank you, Councilor Jordan. Councilor Devine?
Yeah, just a question. Kevin, do you recall we had this in finance and we complied with it? It seems familiar to me.
Yeah, that might have been the copy one, Patty,
Okay.
I think we took care of, and now this is the actual, this is really long document. I don't know if anybody has had a chance to go through the whole thing, but it's about 90 to 100 pages long.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. So I guess I'll entertain a motion that this gets sent to legal to put it into language, or no? Or has that already gone through that process?
I don't know. At this
Councilor Jordan, I'm relying on the seniority right now.
As I best recall, there was a long document, but I think that still needs to be put into legal form. I would ask the law department to review it and send it. It's going to be a lot, because the package that was put together is like a PDF version, and it needs to go into a legal form if that hasn't already been done. So I think they would want to just double check that, and then we go forward from there.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Councilor McGrath-Smith?
I just remember discussion around having this added in as an appendix, and I didn't know if we needed to specify that in our ask to legal.
I'm trying to look at our minutes.
I don't recall. It was a while ago. Councilor Jordan, do you know anything about it being an appendix?
Well, I did not specifically address that question, but I will say that is definitely one approach. It's quite long, so the question is, do we reference it in a ordinance pointing to this as an appendix? Or do we actually take the language that's in the document and put it into a legal form? That might be, I think it would be better to be put into an actual ordinance, would be the ideal, in my opinion, because then it would refer to different sections in the current ordinance, and maybe it creates its own chapter or a sub-chapter in the ordinance book. But yeah, there's definitely different ways they could do it. I'd be open to multiple approaches, though.
So would we want to, so just to be clear then, we can refer it to legal for them to either figure out whether it makes more sense for it to be put in as an appendix, or just to put it into legal language so that we can have the legal language. Is that good?
Yes, that's good for me.
Councilor Bacon?
I'm fine with that. I'm just looking to see, and it might be in the minutes before the last minutes, because I know we tabled it at our last meeting.
Yep.
But at one of our
I
meetings,
think we tabled it at the last meeting because Kevin wasn't here, and I
Maybe.
didn't want to talk about it as much without Kevin.
maybe, but at one of the meetings, we had some discussion about it. And I had asked for a minor language modification, that where it only said CAFO, we
Yes.
would say mayor/CAFO.
I think they amended that the last time.
Well, and that's, I don't know that we have a copy of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
if we
we want
request
them to.
legal,
Yep.
then I think we'll all get it and we'll be all
able to
set.
have it both. Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we request legal to come back to us in the proper legal form for the added ordinance.
Yeah, second that.
Let's say 30 days.
How about for all of them? Anyway, but in 30 days.
All right. All in favor? So to be clear, we're sending it to legal so that they can put it in legal form so that we can review the document.
As amended.
As amended, and they have 30 days, technically, to try to get it back to us.
Would request, yeah.
So yeah, and the second,
So I second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Counselor McGrath-Smith,
Yes.
Counselor Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Linda Vagan,
Yes.
Counselor Bartley,
Yes, sir.
and then Counselor Rivera, yes. And I believe
Now are there two?
that, I'm just looking at what's on the table here to see if there's anything I can just like get out of the way right now. Because we pretty much finished everything else.
Well,
on the
we had
agenda.
item 9,
That, we tabled that one.
motion,
We tabled item 9.
oh, earlier?
Yeah, because we're waiting for that
Oh, okay.
language on that.
Oh, right. And the same with 10,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've already communicated with Councilor Murphy Ramboletti, or Madam President Murphy Ramboletti, and Councilor Givner about some of the orders that are on the table. And I got to reach out to Anderson Burgos. But if you guys can, just send me any details of anything that has your names attached to it, so that way I could try to take them up at the next meeting and just get those out of the way.
Okay.
We'll do.
Other than that, Councilor Devine, real quick.
Thank you. I don't know if this was one of the items that you took up together, the one, because my item numbers are different than what you have. It's from Puello. In accordance with city charter, create an ordinance language that confirms no sitting city councilor shall become a member of any board or commission in city government during the term of office. And my concern was, what about the HEDIC board and what about CPA? Wouldn't
Yeah.
they be
So-
able to belong to that?
So that one is been sent for legal language. So when it comes back, I guess we can try to make those amendments too as well when we have those conversations, because it does make
Yeah,
sense what
'cause-
you're saying, right? Because
Yeah,
those are
those two-
city council appointed,
Right, unless it's
Right.
a council's.
right? It's like Councilor Bartley and I are on the parking advisory commission.
Right.
I just got the letter the other day. I got to come sign. So yeah, Councilor Devine, thank you for bringing that up. We'll make sure that at the next meeting, whenever those languages come through, we'll make sure to make those amendments.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion for the meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call vote. Councilor McGrath-Smith,
Yes.
Councilor Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Linda Vacan,
Yes.
Councilor Bartley,
Yes, sir.
and Councilor Rivera. Yes. Everyone have a good night. And
Thank you. Feel better.
Have a
best
good
wishes. Thank you.